Hi everybody, welcome to the first of the weekly roundup videos for this presentation of the LSE online certificate course in International Relations, Business and the Political Economy. I'm Catherine Grant Makokira. I'm your head tutor, as some of you will know, and it's my great pleasure to be working again on this course, particularly with such a great team behind us, your tutors, Sanusha and Milton, as well as all of those people at Get Smarter. Linda is the one that you'll see most often. So yes, we're really excited that you're with us and that there has been such excellent engagement over the last week or so in the first module. The discussion forums were extremely lively, really interesting to read through, to see the different and diverse views that were put forward by many of you. These weekly roundups, I tend to just highlight a few of the key themes that I've picked up on in the discussion forums, as well as the small groups and the live sessions. Give you a couple of pointers to watch out for in terms of the interaction on this course, as well as the essay topics, and then just link to the next module. So diving right into Module 1, the discussion forum looked at what globalization means for you in your context. And of course, we had such a diverse range of students, so many different contexts coming through, from people who are soldiers to bankers to coffee producers, those of you working in finance, health, diplomacy, all sorts of different sectors, and I guess all of you were able to bring those various experiences to bear on the issues you were most interested in with regards to the 5 dimensions of globalization. We saw technology coming up a lot in the posts around artificial intelligence, robots, social media. Quite a few points on the financial globalization, looking at what has been the impact of the global financial crisis of 2007, 2008. We saw migration, environment, probably more traditional aspects of globalization, such as economics and trade coming out as well. I think that Olu made the point that globalization changes and transforms over time, and that the way that we perceive globalization will be different depending on when we are looking at that question, but also where we are placed in the world. There's very much an unequal impact of globalization that I think has been highlighted by a lot of you. And this was something also that came out in the live session that I participated in, which was that globalization can be viewed differently depending on where you stand in the world. And I think that that's something that's very key to understanding the different dimensions of globalization. Elena raised interesting points about trying to understand what are the underlying causes of globalization, and that if we are really to address what are the challenges and benefits across the dimensions that we've been looking at here, we need to really drill down into those causes, as well as understanding the historical context. And I think that that's a key part, obviously, of the material in the module, and something many of you picked up on. I was also interested in a couple of threads that look at Yingxin asked about really whether globalization is in fact good for developing countries. This prompted quite an interesting debate in one of the discussion forum groups, whether Africa is benefiting from globalization. Herbert went on to raise issues, for example, about the role of China, which is something that we will come back to quite often, actually, in the context of this course and modules coming up. I also was pleased to see one of the ideas about the role of nation states in globalization coming through in some of your posts. Polivanova said that really there are particular challenges now for how governments manage globalization. That was picked up by others. Brian started a really interesting thread in one of the groups, looking at the implications of technology, the technological dimension of globalization on revenue streams and tax base, which I thought was a point that I actually hadn't seen raised before and was really useful. This idea that perhaps there's some sort of need for social responsibility around globalization, an interesting idea. The small group discussions and the live sessions asked asked you both to look at the points of view from Friedman on the world is flat, and the critique from Hemawat, which argues that really we're not that interconnected. I think many of you in the small groups sort of really came out kind of in the middle, arguing that there were points of value in both the views that we gave you to look at. Hamza summarized it quite nicely in many ways by saying that the world is in fact perhaps a compressed sphere. So not completely flat or completely round, if we're to use that analogy that Friedman has. And Delalorme and others basically also agreed that the answer to the question about how connected are we probably lies somewhere in the middle, and that the world is definitely flatter, as many of you pointed out, but that's not necessarily the case in all parts of the world or in all spheres of life. What was interesting in this module and in that material was something that we try to bring out in the course, including going forward, and that is to consider the role of data and statistics in the debates around the political economy of issues like globalization. And some of you did really start to get into the questions about data and whether we can rely on the data. Kai and others questioned some of the sources that Hemawat was using and whether in fact they were useful for the debates on globalization. And that's something that we like to bring out both in this module and in some of the others. So please do continue to watch out for that aspect of the usage of statistics, of data and information informing views on some of these issues. The live session was really well attended. So thank you to those of you who did manage to get online. I know it's always a tricky one because it's the first time many of you have probably used that platform before. And so getting used to the actual technology involved of accessing microphones and raising your hands and so on can take a bit of time. So it was great to see many of you bear with us and to see many of you having a chance to voice your views and engage in a bit more of a conversation with both myself and Milton, who was online, as well as your fellow students. It has been recorded, and we have posted the link in a number of different ways into the discussion forums for Module 1, the assignment queries discussion forum. Please do let us know if you still have any trouble accessing the recorded live session. Just to note again that the live sessions are not compulsory, but we feel that they can add a lot of value to your experience of this online learning course. And so we do encourage you to join us if you can, and to really start to build on this idea of conversations around these topics. And as I said, I think that was embraced fully in the discussion forum, and so we were really pleased to see that coming out there so early on in the course, because sometimes it can take a while to warm up. Just a couple of other points whilst I wrap up here and not make this too long. If you want to get the attention of particular people in the group, including the tutor team, then do remember to use the tagging function, the @tag function, and put in the name of the person who you would be interested to respond to your question or query or comment. And to also use these discussion forums as ways to test some ideas for the essays that you're writing on each of the modules. It was great to see some students doing that already, and that's something that we really do strongly encourage. Module 2 was released today and is there for you to dive into. Basically, what Module 2 does is take one of the aspects of globalization that we touched on in the first module, economic globalization, and dives into it in a more in-depth way. Trade is one of my areas of passion and one of my areas of experience. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how you tackle some of the aspects of what is a really topical debate these days, and that is on the implications and impact of global trade rules, global trade itself, and how trade is managed. So yeah, we'll look forward to your comments in the groups and to seeing you in the discussion forums. Thanks very much.